Yeah. And, you know, Jenna Sands, the prosecutor for the case, that was in her opening statement, right? She said the blood evidence is what we have here for this case. And she also said Juliana is a great bonus, right? She's our witness, but this is a blood evidence-based case. And you heard Steve Descano say he believes they could have won this case even without Juliana, who, again, didn't take the plea deal, didn't agree to testify until a month after Brendan Banfield was arrested.
Answering those questions again that we had earlier, why was she arrested first? Why did it take so long to arrest Brendan Banfield? Right. But it sounds like they were working on that blood analysis to build their case against Banfield.
Right. They've said that pretty consistently through the trial. We were waiting on the blood evidence, and they had enough evidence to arrest Juliana first. Obviously, arresting Juliana first did help them. They were able to listen to the conversations Juliana was having with Brendan Banfield. They were in a relationship while she was in jail. So there were phone calls they could listen to, and obviously the letters played a big role here.
Yeah, it was interesting, and it caught all of our attention here when Jenna Sands started talking about this not being a sweetheart deal for Juliana Magalhães. We were under the impression that she had signed this deal and that because of it, she would get time served. So she would likely be done. Jenna Sands seems to suggest that the judge has the ability to sentence her to what she believes is within reason here, and that could be up to 10 years in prison.
And so the manslaughter charge, it does come with a potential maximum 10-year in prison, but the plea agreement she signed that we have back in the other room, it says that she would get time served. That is the recommendation. So could the judge come in and say, no, I'm going to give you the max sentence? Sure, it's possible, but our legal experts say it's unlikely because then they would be kind of going against that plea agreement, and the next attorney who tries to make a plea agreement with someone's going to be like, wait, the judge didn't uphold that last plea agreement, so it's unlikely.
We got to talk about Joseph Ryan,
yes,
who just got caught up in all of this. We know that you spoke with his mother.
Right.
She told you how he was as a son, what she's going to miss about him. What is she saying about this, or any sort of relative about this verdict today?
Yeah, so as we've talked about at length, Joseph Ryan's mother was not able to be up here for the trial. She has been watching it virtually, and she's paying close attention to this because obviously her son is a victim, and now we know that he is a victim here, but he's being painted as a monster, you know? And so I just checked in with her, and she did share this statement with me, so I'd love to read that if we can. I thank the jury, the prosecution, the judge, and the justice system. I thank everyone that loved and supported Joe. Today is a good day. It does not bring Joe back, but it says that Brendan Banfield will pay for the crimes he committed on that day, and that makes this a good day. So she is breathing a sigh of relief right now, getting justice for her son, a young man who has been portrayed by the defense attorney, by Brendan Banfield, as a monster. Today we know he did not kill Christine Banfield.
He was on this website. Obviously his mom talked to you about his choices and preferences, but he certainly didn't think that he was going to a home where he was going to die.
Right, and you know, she talked at length about that. Just because he was into something that may not be considered normal, that doesn't give you the right to kill someone. That doesn't mean he deserved to die just because he was into something different. And she was very adamant about that, and she wanted people not to pass judgment on her son and to keep in mind the facts of the case, and it looks like the jurors did do that.
Yeah, and I keep thinking about their daughter as well, who also got caught up in this as well. You know, she's going to get older and look back at this and realize what happened in her home. She was there. We heard Steve Descano saying that he hopes that she spends the rest of her life with people who love her. And that touched a lot of folks.
I mean, can you even imagine if Brendan Banfield says he walks into the house and he hears signs of his wife not moaning with pleasure, but moaning in agony, that his daughter, who's 4 years old at the time, in the basement by herself, she's got to be hearing or sensing something is off.
Yeah, and during his testimony, he said that she seemed scared, but you know, that's why he was hit with that child endangerment charge, and he was found guilty of that child endangerment charge. I think that speaks volumes to what the jurors think of his choices to allow, you know, he says Juliana brought the little girl into the home, but he opened the door, he allowed them in.
He left it unlocked.
Right, he left it unlocked, he opened the door, let them in, and he wasn't even worried when he was asked on the stand, why didn't you call 911? Repeatedly asked that. Weren't you worried about your daughter? And he said that wasn't at the top of my mind.
It's interesting. He didn't seem to answer most questions definitively.
Right.
You either know that you wrote a note, or you know that you left the door unlocked, or you don't. He never said yes or no. He would say, I don't believe that, or that wasn't the intent. I wonder if jurors started to think, something's not right in addition to that as well. Like, you know what you know.
I mean, he clearly is an investigator, right? We know he worked for the IRS. He has a background in investigation, so he's likely testified before. And it almost felt like he was answering the questions as somebody on the stand, as an expert or as an investigator versus a person.
Which Steve Descano alluded to, saying that
Right.
he should know that he did not get away with this.
it.
Right, yeah.
Well, it has been a trial that has really captivated so many. It has changed so many people's lives forever, especially young Valerie, who we all, I think, share the same hope that Steve Descano does, that she grows up knowing that she's feeling love, but that hopefully she's also getting some help too, because that's a considerable amount of trauma for a young person to endure. And we know that the imprint of that trauma can impact the whole span of your life.
Yes.
So we really do hope that she is being cared for at this time.
Okay, we know you have more calls to make as well. There's still a lot of questions that need to be answered.
And Katie, thank you for just your robust and thorough reporting throughout the entire portion of this, leading up to it, helping to make sure that we had the context going into our coverage to understand what was happening here. I think you helped our community understand this case a whole lot better too.
Hopefully it helps in some way. And Matthew Torres is in the courtroom too.
Okay.
We appreciate his hard work as well.
We'll be right back.